This is the world famous KROQ. We're live at the KROQ Coachella Party House, and I'm here with Matt from the 1975's. You know, I was supposed to interview you in 2016, but I was 9 months pregnant. And the night before I was supposed to interview you, I stayed at the festival to watch NWA reunite. So the next day I got sick and I had to leave, and I was so upset. But now I have my chance, so I'm very, very excited.
It's nice to meet you.
I remember April 2014 was the first time that you played Coachella.
Yeah, it was rubbish.
I believe it was your first big American festival, right?
Yeah.
So I've been going to, I think it's 16 Coachellas from 2014 till now. A lot of life has happened in between.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the most significant or the biggest lesson that you've learned from then till now?
I think that, I don't know, that's a good question. I think that we're a better band than we were then. So I think the way that we've become a better band is through being patient and turning up I think it's difficult to treat it like a job because it's so fun, and you get away with everything all the time. So you can just not treat it like a job. The only way that we treat it like a job is we're in the studio in the morning, for example, back in LA after tonight, and then we're going to be in the studio every day until here. And it's kind of just turning up every day is the lesson that I've learned. You just got to not turn up, get lit. I mean,
No.
You just literally got to turn up every day, because inspiration, it doesn't come looking for you. Do you know what I mean? Inspiration is normally found 3 hours into the same keyboard sound where you want to kill yourself and you think I'm useless and one thing will happen. So I'm a bit more patient than I was.
That's kind of how life is. There are times you go through life and you're I'm useless. I'm doing nothing. But then there's this one magic moment where you connect to something and hit your stride and you're wait, I got this. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, and it's about collecting those moments and writing them down, because I don't even see myself as a songwriter, because I've never sat down and written a song. I've just had one or two words come to my head and I've noted them down, and then I've summarized them at the end, and then everyone's oh, that's clever, and it's not that clever.
You know what I admire about you guys? You've known each other since high school, and being in a relationship with one person is difficult enough, whether it be a friend or a lover. But being in a relationship with a group of guys that you're kind of responsible for and that you create with, since high school, what is the key to that dynamic?
I suppose any relationship, is it honesty and respect?
Yeah.
I don't know, we love each other, and it's kind of, people do. We started it really early. We didn't start it at 18 when we were things and we had cultural references and leather jackets and personalities. We started it at 13, so we were children. So we have everything that we kind of know as adults, we kind of learned together. So I think there's this reciprocated, we're definitely, it's a really beautiful thing, but we're definitely very codependent.
Okay.
I mean, George, for example, very codependent. And I think that's weird for other people in our lives.
There's one thing I regret. So when I started working at KROQ and going to Coachella, I was very young and I was focused on the wrong things. It's a shame that I blacked out so many times because there were so many wonderful things to remember. So I don't even remember some of the performances that I came to see. So I refer to the desert as where demons come to play. But there's this magic amongst the frenzy of the desert, if you can find it. What are some fond memories that you have where you've kind of been able to tune out the madness and really appreciated being present here at Coachella?
I had a really bad Coachella the first time I did it because we were so bad. So the whole thing was bad.
What was bad about it?
Thanks. And it's, I don't know, I do like it out here because it's kind of badass.
It is.
Actually badass, Queens of the Stone Age kind of badass.
Uh-huh. They're from here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it feels brutal. So everything's very, the show is always hard. It's quite an unforgiving environment. And I like that everybody down to Beyonce has to, you know, deal with it.
And but there's also, like, in the hardness of it, there's a magic to this desert, like a mysticism, if you will.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the new album, which surprised me in so many ways. I learned a lot, and I started thinking differently. For example, Give Yourself a Try is my favorite song. There's a line in it that says something along the lines of, what would you say to yourself? What would you say to your younger self? And I had never really asked myself that question, and it made me dig deep. So what would you say to your younger self?
My younger self is a difficult question. And I think the reason that I ask it is because it's more a statement to elicit self-inquiry than it is for me to give an answer. But I think as an artist, don't stop throwing stuff away. Like, I approach, say you're an artist, you'll go through stages of writing, and you'll write stuff that you get over and you don't like this stuff, and then you get new stuff and you think, oh, that's more representative. Treat old stuff as the artist you are now, not as the artist you were then.
That's awesome. Because
I wouldn't have Sex or Robbers or if I'd have done that.
That's a great insight, because a lot of people brush that stuff off,
well,
like it never existed.
18, I was 17 when I wrote Sex, and I was 18 when I wrote Chocolate and Robbers, and then I didn't make a debut album until I was 23. And 18 to 23, you're very different, or you see yourself as a very different person by that time. So I'd like grown out of those songs by that point, but there was something about them, and then my manager just like demanded that I put them on the record. I started thinking, like,
when I heard that line, I was like, well, my younger self thought that she knew it all, and now that I'm a bit older and wiser, now I know I don't.
Yeah,
and it's so liberating.
But the thing is, there's that whole thing, like, true wisdom is is understanding you know nothing, but also you do know everything when you're younger. It's a misconception that you don't.
That's very true.
You do, you know, like you do. But
you just don't you're not present enough.
Well, you're not informed.
Or self-aware.
You don't have to be informed to be right.
Correct. So the other song that I heard that made me think was Love It If We Made It, because I automatically assumed it was about just a relationship that you're in with a lover or whatnot. And then I read an article and I saw the deeper meaning, and it made me realize that there are times that we just kind of see things kind of too literally, and then when I read that, everything started to have a deeper meaning, and I appreciate that you opened up my mind like that, and a lot of songs on the record have done that.
Thanks.
I think it's a work of art.
Thanks. So do I.
It's I read this review that compared it to Kid A before I got the album, and I was like, damn. And then I listened to the album, and it's such a complete thought. It's just a beautiful work of art. You should be very proud of it.
Thank you. I am proud of it.
Are you spending quality time with it? Are you just enjoying the time that you're in it? No?
Not really. But it's it's done now.
Okay.
So it's not my job to stream it I want it to be like a soundtrack to people's lives, but it was a soundtrack to mine for like a year and a half, so I'm bored of it.
You know what I truly love about you, and I know that I don't, you're used to saying that I love something about somebody I don't know. I read an article or an interview that you did with Rolling Stone. I read a few interviews, and your ability to be honest and raw, it's almost like you don't want to hide anything. It's not even a thought in your mind. You're so open about what you've done, where you've been, and a lot of people don't talk about that stuff. That's more of a compliment.
Yeah, it is a compliment.
It's a compliment.
That's very kind. I think my voice, my life, my personal life is now kind of about decreasing as much anxiety as possible. And not being honest is the quickest way to give yourself loads of anxieties.
Honesty is liberating.
I don't have to worry about what I've said if I tell the truth.
I've always thought that if you put all your cards on the table, then nobody can hold anything against you. Nobody can.
If I've told the truth, then I don't have to worry about what I've said.
You have to own who you are, like a badge of honor, whether it's good or bad. Exactly. And then the last question is a fun question. Let's say the world were to end, but before it ended, they said you have to bury one 1975 song in the desert, and years from now, somebody will find it. And that's how you will be remembered.
That's the only way that I even finish songs, because every time I get excited about a song, I have to be like, this is the song that is the 1975. I know that it should be Love It If We Made It, but I'd want it to be falling for you.
Oh, they seem to agree.
Or medicine, but that's a more left field. That's a more left field one.
Before I let you go, they were talking to me about you and something that they love that you said recently about how unfair it is that they make fans pay X amount of money to meet the artists that they love.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because it's not fair. It's criminal.
It's just weird. I think the problem is that it's so normalized that we don't, like loads of stuff, like, you know, we don't want to complain about it because obviously no one really cares because no one is complaining about it, right?
Correct.
Like people don't care that much. I just think it's a weird thing to do. It's just not, it's not nice.
I don't think it's that they don't care. I think it's that they don't think they have a choice.
No, I think that it's two things. I think that it's artists that haven't been explicitly naive artists.
Yes.
Who get to be naive, so that's why I'll let them off.
Okay.
But it's like the whole example is like, what is it, like $300 to like $1,000?
Yeah.
I don't know who.
There's packages. It depends what tier.
Well, I don't know who's doing them, but the way to just think about it, like, is it morally wrong? Is like whoever that I don't know who the pop star is that's doing it. If you stopped, if you said, right, it's not going to be part of the ticket, it's going to be in cash to the artist. So Thingy Bob Tallulah, that's the new pop star. It gets people in, and every time they say the person comes up, we go, "Hi, nice to meet you," and they go, "Have you got the $300? Can I have the $300?" And they give it them, and they put it in their pocket. Like, it wouldn't last for longer than a week because people would see how fucked up it is. You know?
Correct.
It's just not cool because you're making music exclusive, and that's not what music's about. And it's not about like being a champion of the underdog or anything like that. It's like you're saying to people, like, this relationship that we have in art goes so far until you can't afford it anymore.
Exactly.
And it's like people do that at shows. Why do they do that? I don't know why they do that, but maybe when they meet you, that's the thing that you get to do. So you either get to do that, or you just put a fucking wad of cash in between it, and it's like so fucking weird.
Maddie, I love your voice, and not just your singing voice, but I love your voice in the way that you use dialogue and just the honesty that comes out of you.
Thanks.
I think you're one of a kind. I truly do. And thank you for everything that you've done for KROQ, because we've monopolized your time this last week. You've done so much for us.
Thank you. If we're not a rock band either, I'll put that out there. So I'm quite glad to do.
But
so
you're
much
something
for rock
special.
music.
You're something special,
Thanks.
and that's all that matters. So the 1975 played tonight at 8:25, I believe. What stage?
On the main stage.
You're
big
on
one.
the main stage.
Yeah. Where I belong, let's be honest.
Where you belong. Damn it. Well, you've come such a long way from 2014. High five, my friend.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Maddie from the 1975.